Welcome to Dreamweaver Tales. Get comfortable, close your eyes, and let my voice guide you into a world of peaceful dreams. The silence up here on this final evening carries a weight that feels almost sacred. A stillness so profound that your own heartbeat becomes the most prominent sound in the thin Martian atmosphere. You find yourself standing on the observation deck of the settlement, hands resting gently on the cool metal railing, watching as the pale amber sun begins its descent toward the rust-colored horizon. For the very last time, you'll witness it from this world. Tomorrow morning, the transport ship will carry you and the remaining crew members back across the vast emptiness between worlds, back to the blue marble that hangs like a distant jewel in the pre-dawn sky. The air recycling system hums its familiar lullaby somewhere behind you, that constant, comforting rhythm that has marked every day and night for the past 18 months. It's strange how sounds that once seemed mechanical and cold have become as soothing as ocean waves, as natural as your own breathing. The gentle whoosh of processed air mingles with the soft electrical buzz of the solar panels above, creating a symphony of survival that has kept you alive in this beautiful, unforgiving place. Your fingers trace along the railing's surface, feeling the fine layer of iron oxide dust that settles on everything here, no matter how often you clean. The particles are so fine, they feel almost like silk between your fingertips. This ancient remnant of a world that once knew flowing water, and perhaps even life. Each grain tells a story spanning billions of years, epics of wind and weather, of geological patience beyond human comprehension. The dust gets into everything, stains everything with its distinctive orange-red hue, and yet you've grown fond of it. This Martian signature that marks every surface, every crevice, every breath. The settlement stretches out below you, its modular buildings connected by covered walkways that snake across the rocky terrain, like the roots of some enormous technological organism. Warm yellow light glows from the windows of the laboratory complex, where Dr. Chen is probably still cataloging the final batch of soil samples. The hydroponics bay emanates a softer, greener illumination, the LED grow lights casting their artificial rainbow across the small forest of tomatoes and lettuce that have sustained you all these months. Even from here, you can almost smell the rich earthiness of the growing medium, that blend of processed waste and Martian regolith that somehow, miraculously, nurtures life. The sun hangs lower now, a pale disk filtered through the thin atmosphere, casting everything in hues of amber and copper. Without Earth's thick blanket of air to scatter the light into brilliant reds and oranges, Martian sunsets possess a subtle, otherworldly beauty, more whisper than shout, more meditation than celebration. The sky above fades from butterscotch to deep violet, and already you can see the first stars beginning to pierce through the gathering dusk. Phobos, that lumpy, potato-shaped moon, races across the heavens like a time-lapse photograph, completing its orbit in just 7.5 hours. So different from Earth's patient, constant, lunar companion. A soft chime from your communication device draws your attention for a moment. It's a message from Mission Control back on Earth, transmitted across the millions of kilometers of space, taking nearly 20 minutes to reach you. The delay makes conversation impossible, transforms every exchange into something more like letters, thoughtful, deliberate, weighted with the knowledge that by the time your words arrive, the moment that inspired them will be long past. The message is brief, routine, weather reports from Houston, updates on the return trajectory, a reminder to complete the final atmospheric readings. But somehow, even these mundane details feel precious. Threads connecting you to that distant world that grows a little brighter in the sky each evening as the orbital mechanics carry both planets toward their next close approach. You set the device aside and return your attention to the horizon, where the sun now touches the edge of a distant crater rim. The shadows are growing longer, stretching across the rocky plains like dark rivers flowing toward night. Each boulder, each ridge, each small impact crater becomes outlined in sharp relief, the low-angle light revealing textures and details invisible during the harsh clarity of Martian midday. The landscape takes on an almost lunar quality in this light, ancient and patient and utterly still. Your breathing has slowed to match the peaceful rhythm of the evening, each exhale visible as a small puff of vapor in the cooling air. The environmental suit's life support system maintains a perfect microclimate around your body, but you can still feel the temperature dropping as Mars begins its nightly rotation away from solar warmth. The cold here is different from Earth's winter chill, drier, cleaner somehow, without the moisture that makes terrestrial cold bite and sting. It's the cold of space itself, vast and patient and absolute. A movement catches your eye in the distance, one of the autonomous rovers returning from its daily survey mission, its 6 wheels kicking up small clouds of dust as it navigates between the scattered rocks. Its headlamps create twin cones of light in the gathering gloom, and its progress is marked by the soft whir of electric motors and the gentle crunch of regolith beneath its treads. Even the machines here seem to move with a kind of reverence, as if they too understand the profound stillness of this world. The sun slips lower, half hidden now behind the crater's rim. The quality of light shifts moment by moment, growing softer, more diffuse, painting the settlement's white and silver structures in warm bronze tones. The solar panel arrays have already begun their nightly ritual, slowly tracking westward to capture every last photon before darkness falls. Their movement is almost imperceptible, like the hour hand of a vast clock marking the passage of this final Martian day. You think about all the sunsets you've witnessed from this vantage point. 537 Martian souls, each one unique, each one a small meditation on the beauty of light and shadow and the turning of worlds. There was the evening 3 months ago when a dust storm on the horizon created a curtain of amber haze that transformed the sun into a perfect copper disk. The morning you watched Phobos transit across the solar face, a tiny dark spot racing across the brightness. The night when you stayed up to watch Earth and its moon rise together. 2 blue-white points of light carrying all of human history in their familiar dance. The laboratory's external sensors continue their patient work, measuring atmospheric pressure, temperature, humidity, radiation levels, all the invisible parameters that define this thin envelope of gas clinging to Mars's ancient surface, numbers flowing into databases, data streams that will be analyzed for years to come, adding to humanity's growing understanding of this russet world. But tonight, the sensors seem less like scientific instruments and more like mechanical poets, translating the planet's vital signs into streams of digital verse. From somewhere inside the habitat comes the soft sound of conversation. Sarah and Miguel probably sharing dinner in the common area, their voices a gentle murmur of camaraderie and reflection. The crew has grown close during these long months, bound together by the shared experience of being the only humans on an entire world. Every meal together, every evening's conversation, every small ritual of daily life has taken on special significance in this place where human presence is so temporary, so fragile, so precious. The sun disappears entirely now, leaving only a soft glow along the western horizon that will fade gradually into the deep purple of Martian night. The temperature is dropping more rapidly, and you can hear the habitat's heating systems cycling on with their familiar gentle hum. Soon the stars will emerge in their full glory. More stars than you ever imagined possible, unfiltered by Earth's atmosphere. Brilliant and steady and close enough that you feel you could reach up and pluck them from the velvet sky. But for now, in this moment between day and night, between one world and another, you simply stand and breathe and let the profound peace of this alien landscape wash over you like a slow tide. The silence is complete now, except for the gentle sounds of the settlement, the whisper of recycled air, the soft electrical hum of life support systems, the distant conversation of your crewmates preparing for their own final evening of Mars. The first stars appear, pinpricks of ancient light scattered across the darkening dome of sky. Venus hangs low in the west, brilliant and unwavering, the evening star that will guide your ship's navigation computers during the long journey home. Jupiter glows like a yellow gem, higher up, its moons invisible from here, but present nonetheless. Those distant worlds that humanity might someday visit when Mars seems as familiar and accessible as the moon once did to the first astronauts. And there, rising above the eastern horizon like a blue-white beacon of memory and longing, Earth appears, so small from this distance, so impossibly fragile and beautiful, suspended in the cosmic darkness. Home. The word carries new weight now, new meaning shaped by months of red sunrises and alien skies and the constant awareness that every breath depends on the miraculous complexity of machines and chemistry and human ingenuity. You raise your hand toward that distant point of light, and for a moment you can almost imagine you're reaching across the void itself, touching that world of blue oceans and white clouds and the green of growing things that exist without artificial light or careful cultivation. Tomorrow, you'll begin the journey back to all of that, to rain on your face and wind through trees and the sound of birds singing in an atmosphere thick enough to carry their voices across kilometers of open space. But tonight belongs to Mars, to this last evening under alien stars, to the completion of humanity's longest stay in another world, to the quiet satisfaction of work well done and discoveries made, and the expansion of human presence into the solar system's vast geography. Tonight belongs to memory and gratitude, and the profound peace that comes from having witnessed something unprecedented, something that will echo through the rest of your life, like a beautiful song remembered from childhood. The habitat's lights create warm pools of illumination in the Martian darkness, and you know that inside, your crewmates are completing their own final rituals, packing the last of the samples, reviewing tomorrow's departure checklist, perhaps writing in personal journals or recording messages for family members who won't receive them for another 20 minutes. Each of you processing in your own way this transition from the extraordinary to the familiar, from the alien to the ancestral, from Mars back to Earth. The silence deepens as the last traces of sunset fade from the western sky, and you realize that this moment, right here, right now, is something you'll carry with you forever. The memory of standing alone on another world, watching your home planet rise above an alien horizon, feeling simultaneously the vast isolation of space and the profound connection that binds all life, all consciousness, all dreams of exploration and discovery into one continuous story of reaching toward the stars. The memory settles into your mind like sediment in still water, and slowly, reluctantly, you turn away from the observation window. Your footsteps echo softly against the metal flooring of the corridor as you make your way back toward the heart of the base, where the gentle hum of life support systems creates a constant, reassuring backdrop, a mechanical lullaby that has been your companion for these many months on this distant world. The hallway stretches before you, bathed in the warm amber glow of the evening lighting protocol, and you notice how the walls seem to hold the day's accumulated warmth, radiating it back in gentle waves that brush against your face as you walk. Each step carries you deeper into the familiar embrace of the habitat, past doorways that lead to laboratories now silent and dark, past the common areas where you and your crewmates shared countless meals and conversations, past the small alcoves where plants from Earth still grow in their hydroponic gardens, their leaves rustling almost imperceptibly in the circulated air. Your quarters await at the end of the corridor, and as you press your palm against the biometric scanner, you feel the slight warmth of the metal beneath your skin, still holding traces of heat from the Martian day. The door slides open with its familiar soft whisper, and you step inside to find everything exactly as you left it this morning, though somehow everything feels different now, touched by the weight of impending departure. The room is small, compact, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Yet over these months, it has become more than just a place to sleep. It has become a sanctuary, a private corner of human presence on an inhuman world. The walls, a soft cream color that was chosen by some distant designer to be psychologically soothing, are covered now with the accumulated artifacts of your time. Here, photographs, sketches, small objects that have taken on significance far beyond their practical purpose. You move to the small desk that folds down from the wall, its surface scarred with the gentle wear of daily use, and begin the process that you've been avoiding for weeks now. The packing. The careful selection of what can come home with you and what must remain behind. Your fingers trace the edge of a photograph taped to the wall above the desk. An image of the sunrise over Olympus Mons that you captured 3 months ago, when the dust storm season was just beginning and the light took on that particular golden quality that exists nowhere else in the solar system. The photograph feels warm under your touch, warmed by the habitat's heating system, and you realize that even this simple gesture, your finger against a piece of printed paper, connects you to that moment, to that morning when you stood outside the base in your pressure suit and watched the sun climb above the largest volcano in the solar system. Should this come with you? Can a photograph truly capture the feeling of that morning? Or would it be just another image in a drawer, back on Earth, unable to convey the thin atmosphere's bite against your suit's heating elements, the way the light seemed to bend differently in the reduced atmospheric pressure? You carefully peel the photograph from the wall, feeling the slight resistance of the adhesive that has held it in place. Through months of the habitat's gentle temperature fluctuations, the space it leaves behind is a shade lighter than the surrounding wall, a perfect rectangular ghost that speaks of permanence and impermanence in the same breath. This goes in the small pile of things that will make the journey home, not because of what it shows, but because of how it feels in your hands right now, substantial and real and connected to this experience in a way that memory alone might not preserve. Next to where the photograph hung, your sketches are arranged in a loose grid, pencil drawings you made during the long evenings when the communication delay with Earth made real-time conversation impossible, and you found yourself with hours to fill and only the landscape outside for inspiration. Your hand moves to a drawing of the base itself, seen from the small ridge where you often walked in the early days of the mission. The lines are simple, almost childlike, but they capture something that the official mission photographs never quite managed. The sense of the base as a tiny island of human intention in a vast sea of alien indifference. The paper feels different from the photograph, rougher, more textured, and slightly warped from the humidity fluctuations that even the best environmental controls can't completely eliminate. As you hold it up to the light, you can see through the paper to the others beneath it, creating layers of memory, overlapping moments from different days and different moods. This one from the sketch when the dust devil passed close to the base, and you watched it through the window, mesmerized by the way it moved with such purposeful randomness across the plain. This one from the day when you discovered the small crater just beyond the eastern perimeter, no bigger than a swimming pool, but perfectly circular and filled with sand so fine it looked like powder. Each drawing represents not just a scene, but a state of mind. The meditative quality of putting pencil to paper when you're 40 million miles from the nearest art museum, the nearest gallery, the nearest person who might understand why you felt compelled to capture these desolate vistas with such careful attention to detail. The sketches will definitely come home with you. They weigh almost nothing, take up almost no space, and yet they carry the full weight of all those quiet evenings when you sat at this desk and tried to make sense of your place in this immense landscape. On the narrow shelf that runs along one wall, your collection of Martian rocks sits in a precise row, each one carefully labeled with the date and location where you found it. The mission protocols are strict about what geological samples can return to Earth. Everything must be cataloged, tested, approved by the science team. But these rocks were never intended for scientific study. They're personal finds, small fragments of this world that caught your eye during walks and explorations, each one representing a moment when you bent down and chose this particular piece of Mars to carry back with you. Your fingers close around a smooth, dark stone about the size of a walnut, its surface polished by eons of wind and sand until it feels almost organic under your touch. You found this one during the dust storm season, when visibility was limited and you stayed close to the base. But even in the reduced light, it seemed to gleam with some inner quality that made it stand out from the countless other rocks scattered across the surface. It's warm in your palm now, warmed by the habitat's atmosphere. And you wonder if rocks can hold memory the way humans do. If this small fragment of ancient Martian geology somehow carries within its crystalline structure some trace of all the moments it has witnessed, all the weather it has endured, all the sunrises and sunsets that have passed over it through the millions of years of its existence. The regulations say that all geological samples must remain here, must be processed through official channels before any return to Earth. But as you roll the smooth stone between your fingers, feeling its weight and texture, you find yourself wondering about the difference between a scientific sample and a personal talisman. This rock means something to you that has nothing to do with its mineral composition or its potential contribution to human knowledge of Mars. It represents the day when you realized that you had stopped thinking of this place as alien, stopped seeing it as foreign and hostile and other. This rock marked the moment when Mars began to feel like a place where you belonged, at least temporarily, at least enough to stop and pick up a piece of it and carry it with you for no reason other than that it seemed right. You set the rock back in its place on the shelf, but your hand lingers near it, reluctant to break the connection. Tomorrow, when the final packing happens under the supervision of the mission commander, this rock will remain behind. But tonight, it sits on your shelf, a small ambassador from Mars to your temporary human presence here, holding its place in your collection with a quiet dignity that stones seem to possess naturally. The other rocks tell similar stories. The red one that looks like it's been painted with iron oxide, found near the ancient riverbed that suggested water once flowed here. The crystalline fragment that catches and splits the habitat's light into tiny rainbows, discovered during your longest solo expedition when you ventured nearly to the edge of your suit's range and felt truly alone on another planet for the first time. Each one a bookmark in the story of your time here, each one a tangible connection to a moment when you reached down and claimed a tiny piece of this world for yourself. Your clothes hang in the small closet space, mostly the standard issue garments designed for life aboard the habitat, but mixed among them are a few personal items that have taken on significance during your stay. The sweater that your sister knitted for you before you left Earth, which became your go-to comfort item during the long communication blackouts when solar interference made contact with home impossible. The t-shirt from your university that you wore during the crossing, and which still carries, somehow, a faint trace of the spaceship's particular recycled air scent. Metallic and clean and utterly unlike anything that exists in nature. As you run your hand along the fabric of the sweater, you can feel the individual stitches, the slight irregularities that prove it was made by hand, by someone who cared enough to spend hours creating something purely for your comfort and warmth. On Mars, where everything is manufactured, processed, engineered for maximum efficiency and minimum weight, these small imperfections feel precious. Evidence of a world where people still make things slowly, carefully, with love, rather than precision as the guiding principle. The evening continues to deepen around the base, and you can hear, through the walls, the settling sounds of a habitat preparing for its night cycle, the subtle changes in air circulation, the dimming of lights in common areas, the soft chimes that signal shift changes for the skeleton crew that will monitor systems through the Martian night. These sounds have become so familiar that you barely notice them consciously, but tonight, they seem to carry extra weight, like a symphony that you're hearing for the last time and want to remember in perfect detail. You find yourself drawn to move, to step away from your quarters and walk toward the observation dome, where you know Earth will be visible in the deepening Martian twilight. The corridor stretches before you, its walls lined with panels that glow softly in night mode, casting everything in hues of amber and deep gold. Your footsteps make the gentlest whisper against the textured flooring, a sound so quiet it barely registers above the ambient hum of life support systems that pulse like a steady heartbeat through the habitat's bones. As you walk, you pass doorways where soft light seeps beneath closed panels, evidence of your fellow colonists settling into their own evening routines. Someone is playing music very quietly, notes that drift through the walls like watercolor bleeding through paper, too faint to identify, but warm enough to recognize as human expression. Another door reveals the blue-white flicker of a screen, perhaps someone video calling family back on Earth, though the 8-minute communication delay makes such conversations feel more like exchanging letters than having a real-time chat. The observation dome rises ahead of you, its access corridor sloping gently upward, and you feel the subtle shift in air pressure as the space opens above you. The dome itself is a marvel of engineering and poetry combined. Transparent aluminum panels fitted together in a geodesic pattern that fragments the view into dozens of perfectly clear windows, each one offering its own framed piece of the Martian sky. During the day, filters automatically engage to protect against radiation and the glare. But now, in the evening hours, the dome offers an unobstructed view of the cosmos beyond. You settle into one of the cushioned observation chairs, positioned to face eastward, where Earth should appear as the sky darkens. The chair conforms to your body with a gentle sigh of adjusting cushions, and you feel yourself sinking into its embrace while your gaze lifts to search the deepening sky. The Martian sunset has painted the western horizon in familiar shades of butterscotch and rust. But here in the dome, facing away from the sun's last light, the sky already holds the deep purple blue of approaching night. At first, the stars appear tentatively, like shy guests arriving at a party, flickering into visibility one by one. Mars has no significant atmosphere to blur their light, so each star emerges with crystalline precision, sharp as pinpricks in dark velvet. You know many of their names now, have learned the Martian constellations that differ subtly from Earth's view due to the changed perspective of 40 million miles. But tonight, you're not looking for familiar patterns. You're looking for home. There, emerging from the deepening darkness like a sapphire catching candlelight, Earth appears. At this distance, across the vast gulf of interplanetary space, your home world presents itself as Carl Sagan once described it. A pale blue dot suspended in a sunbeam, but even reduced to a single point of light, even diminished by distance and the cold mathematics of orbital mechanics, Earth radiates something that no other celestial object can match. It pulses with a blue-white luminosity that speaks of oceans and clouds, of an atmosphere thick with weather and seasons and the breath of billions of living things. You lean back in the observation chair, letting your neck rest against the cushioned headrest, while your eyes remain fixed on that distant point of light. The dome's transparent panels fragment Earth into a dozen different views, like looking at a jewel through a kaleidoscope, each faceted window offering the same blue spark from a slightly different angle. The effect is mesmerizing, hypnotic in the way that firelight or flowing water can capture and hold human attention for hours without effort. From your pocket, you retrieve a small pair of binoculars, designed specifically for astronomical observation in Mars's thin atmosphere. Through the lenses, Earth resolves into something more than a point of light, becoming a tiny disk, a marble of blue and white swirls. You can't make out continents or specific features, but the phases are visible, the way sunlight catches the curve of the world you once called home. Tonight, Earth appears as a crescent, its terminator line dividing day from night across familiar geography that you can only imagine. The binoculars reveal something else, a smaller, dimmer point of light, positioned near Earth's blue gleam. Luna, humanity's first stepping stone into space, your species' ancient companion that has pulled at tides and hearts for millennia. Even at this distance, even reduced to the faintest silver spark, the moon maintains its gravitational partnership with Earth. The two of them locked in their eternal dance while they orbit the sun together. You lower the binoculars for a moment, letting your eyes readjust to the naked eye view, and find that you can still distinguish both points of light, the Earth-Moon system appearing as a double star in Mars's evening sky. Around you, the dome continues to darken as Mars's rapid sunset progresses. This planet's day cycle runs just 24 hours and 37 minutes, close enough to Earth's rhythm that humans adapt easily. But those extra 37 minutes accumulate into a gentle drift that makes Martian time feel both familiar and foreign. The sun has fully set now, leaving only starlight and the soft glow from the habitat below to illuminate the dome's interior. Other colonists begin to arrive for evening observation, their footsteps soft on the dome's approach corridor. Maria, the atmospheric scientist, takes a chair near the western windows, where she can monitor weather patterns across the Martian plains. Dr. Chen, your mission's geologist, settles near the southern view, where the rim of Olympus Mons creates a subtle irregularity against the star field. They nod to you in quiet acknowledgement, but don't speak, understanding that the dome in evening hours serves as an informal sanctuary, a place for contemplation rather than conversation. The temperature in the dome has begun to drop as the Martian surface radiates its daily heat into the thin atmosphere and then into space. The environmental controls respond with gentle circulation of warmed air, creating subtle currents that you feel as the softest touch against your skin. These thermal currents carry with them the faint sense of the habitat below, recycled air that somehow still manages to hold traces of human habitation. The lingering aroma of evening meals, the clean ozonic smell of the water, reclamation systems, the barely perceptible organic earthiness of the hydroponic gardens, where vegetables grow under artificial suns. Through the binoculars again, you study Earth's blue light with the intensity of someone memorizing a beloved face before a long separation. You try to imagine the view in reverse, wonder if powerful telescopes on Earth might be able to detect the lights of your habitat as Mars passes through their evening sky. The thought creates a strange sensation of connection across the void, as if you and Earth are looking at each other simultaneously. 2 points of consciousness acknowledging each other across the cosmic dark. Your eyes begin to water slightly from the steady focus, and you lower the binoculars to rest them. Without magnification, Earth returns to its status as a bright star, but now you carry in your mind the knowledge of its true nature, the memory of its crescent phase, and the presence of Luna nearby. The naked eye view becomes more precious for this knowledge, the way a simple photograph becomes invaluable when it captures someone you love. The dome's environmental systems shift into deeper night mode, dimming even the subtle interior lighting to preserve everyone's night vision. In this deeper darkness, more stars emerge, the Martian sky revealing its full majesty without interference from atmospheric scattering or light pollution. The Milky Way becomes visible as a river of stars flowing across the dome's curved ceiling, our galaxy's spiral arm presented in unprecedented clarity and detail. But your attention keeps returning to Earth, that blue spark that represents everything you've known before Mars. Every sunrise you watched from your childhood bedroom window, every ocean wave that ever touched your feet, every rainstorm that sent you running for shelter, every spring morning when the air filled with the green scent of growing things, all of it compressed now into a single point of light, impossibly distant, yet still somehow radiating the warmth of memory and connection. That tiny beacon holds within it every face you've ever loved, every voice that ever called your name, every hand that ever reached for yours in the darkness. And now, as you finally turn away from the observation window, its afterimage seems to follow you, a gentle companion as you step into the softly lit corridors of the colony for one last, quiet walk through the place that has been your home among the stars. Your footsteps make the softest whisper against the textured metal flooring, a sound so familiar now that you barely register it consciously. Yet it creates a gentle rhythm that seems to synchronize with your heartbeat. The corridor stretches ahead of you, bathed in the warm amber glow of the night cycle lighting, those carefully designed strips that run along the junction where wall meets ceiling, casting everything in honeyed shadows that feel both futuristic and somehow timeless, like walking through the belly of some great sleeping creature that breathes with a hum of recycled air. The walls themselves tell stories in their subtle imperfections. Here, a barely visible scuff mark where someone's equipment case brushed against the surface during the early days of settlement. There, a small maintenance panel slightly askew, evidence of the constant, quiet work that keeps this artificial world functioning. Your fingers trail along the smooth composite material as you walk, feeling the faint vibrations that travel through the structure. The colony's pulse made tangible through touch. You pass the first junction, where Corridor B branches off toward the residential quarters, and the soft blue emergency lighting creates pools of cooler illumination every few meters. The air here carries the faint metallic tang that you've grown to associate with home, mixed with something warmer, more organic. Perhaps the lingering traces of evening meals prepared hours ago, or the subtle scent of the hydroponic gardens that cycle their air through the colony's lungs. As you continue deeper into the residential section, you notice how different the colony feels during these quiet hours, when most of your colleagues have retreated to their private spaces to sleep, or read, or simply sit with their own thoughts about tomorrow's departure. The daytime energy, that constant undercurrent of purpose and movement and voices discussing logistics and procedures, has settled into something more intimate, more personal. Now the colony reveals its gentler face, the one reserved for moments of solitude and reflection. A soft chime echoes from somewhere ahead, one of the hourly system checks that mark time's passage in this place, where sunrise and sunset are concepts from another world. The sound reverberates briefly through the corridors before fading, leaving behind a silence that feels full rather than empty, pregnant with the presence of sleeping friends and the quiet efficiency of machines maintaining life, far from any natural source of breath or warmth or light. You pause at one of the viewing alcoves, these small indented spaces designed for exactly this kind of contemplative moment, and settle onto the narrow bench that faces a smaller window. This view doesn't show Earth, but rather the Martian landscape itself, rolling away in gentle rust-colored waves under a star-filled sky that holds no moon, no familiar constellation patterns to anchor your sense of place and time. It's beautiful in its alienness, this world that has sheltered you and challenged you and become, in its own way, a part of your identity. The regolith stretches endlessly, its fine-grained surface catching and holding the starlight in ways that Earth's coarser soils never could. During the day, this same landscape blazes with colors ranging from deep burgundy to pale salmon. But now, In the Martian night, it becomes a canvas painted in shades of silver and charcoal, punctuated by the occasional glint of mineral deposits or the geometric shadows cast by distant rock formations that have stood unchanged for millions of years. Rising from the bench, you continue your gentle circuit through the colony, your path taking you past the common areas where comfortable chairs sit empty in companionable clusters, their cushions still holding the faint impressions of the last people to occupy them. The main gathering space feels vast in its emptiness, yet somehow cozy too, like a living room whose family has simply stepped out for a moment and will return at any time to fill it again with conversation and laughter and the comfortable sounds of shared life. You remember evenings spent in these very chairs, debating everything from mission protocols to philosophical questions about humanity's place in the universe. Your voices mixing with the ever-present whisper of the air circulation system and the occasional distant clank of expanding metal as the colony structure adjusted to the temperature fluctuations of the Martian day-night cycle. Those conversations feel both recent and ancient now, preserved in memory with the same clarity as photographs, yet somehow already taking on the golden patina of nostalgia. The recreation area draws you next, where the exercise equipment stands silent and still, waiting for tomorrow's final workout sessions before the long journey home. The treadmill's belt reflects the ambient lighting like a dark river, and you can almost hear the rhythmic pounding of feet that has echoed through these spaces for months, the sound of humans maintaining their Earth-evolved bodies in defiance of this world's lighter gravity and thinner atmosphere. Near the equipment, a small shelf holds books, actual physical books that made the journey from Earth because someone decided that the weight penalty was worth it for the comfort of turning real pages, feeling real paper between real fingers. Their spines catch the light, showing titles both practical and whimsical, evidence of the full spectrum of human need, not just for information and instruction, but for story and beauty and the simple pleasure of words arranged in meaningful patterns. Your path winds now toward the work areas, those spaces where so much discovery and analysis has taken place, where samples of Martian soil and rock have been examined and cataloged and prepared for the return journey to Earth. The laboratory benches gleam clean and organized in the gentle lighting, instruments secured and covered, everything prepared for the transition from active research facility to historical artifact. Here, more than anywhere, you feel the weight of what you're leaving behind. Not just the colony itself, but this chapter of human exploration. This moment when Mars ceased to be just a distant red dot in Earth's sky and became instead a place where people lived and worked and dreamed. The very air in these rooms seems to hold the memory of excitement and discovery, of late nights spent analyzing data, and early mornings greeted with fresh hypotheses and new questions to explore. A gentle turn brings you into the communications center, where banks of quietly glowing displays maintain their eternal vigil, monitoring everything from life support systems to weather patterns to the slow dance of celestial mechanics that will soon carry you home. The screens paint the room in soft blues and greens, colors chosen to be easy on human eyes during long monitoring shifts. And the constant stream of data creates patterns that have their own hypnotic beauty. This is where voices from Earth arrive, compressed into digital signals that travel for minutes across the void before becoming words and laughter and news from home. You think of all the conversations that have originated from these consoles, all the scientific data that has flowed through these channels, all the simple human moments, birthday wishes and status updates, and the small daily exchanges that keep people connected across impossible distances. The tour of your temporary world continues through the storage areas, where supplies and equipment wait in neat, labeled arrangements, everything accounted for and allocated according to the careful calculations that make life possible in such an unforgiving environment. Even these utilitarian spaces hold beauty in their precision, in the way human ingenuity has created order and safety and sufficiency from the chaos of survival needs and limited resources. As you walk between the organized shelves and containers, you're struck by how much trust is embedded in every item, every measurement, every backup plan for the backup plans. Trust in the people who designed these systems, who calculated these requirements, who imagined every possible failure and created redundancy upon redundancy to ensure that human life could not only survive, but thrive in this place, so far from the world that shaped every biological system in your body. Your footsteps eventually carry you full circle, back toward the observation areas where this quiet pilgrimage began. But now the colony feels different somehow, more familiar, more precious, as if the act of walking through it slowly and mindfully has awakened something deeper than mere recognition, a profound appreciation for this temporary island of life and warmth and human purpose, floating in the cold vastness of space, soon to be left empty but never forgotten, a monument to curiosity and courage and the endless human drive to explore beyond the edges of the known world. Walking back toward the communication center through these familiar corridors, you find yourself drawn not just by the need to tie up final administrative loose ends, but by something deeper, something more personal that calls to you in these last quiet hours. The soft hum of the environmental systems creates a gentle undertone that seems almost musical tonight, a steady bass note that resonates through the walls and floor, vibrating subtly through the soles of your feet as you move with unhurried steps down the gently curving hallway. The lighting here has been dimmed to its evening cycle, casting everything in that warm amber glow that always reminded you of late autumn afternoons on Earth, when the sun hangs low and golden through bare branches, painting the world in honey and copper tones. The communication center sits at the heart of the colony's central hub, its heavy door marked only by a small blue indicator light that pulses slowly like a steady heartbeat, like the rhythm of gentle breathing in deep sleep. As you place your palm against the access panel, feeling its smooth coolness against your skin, you're struck by how many thousands of times this simple gesture has been repeated over the years of the colony's life. How many hands have touched this same spot, seeking connection across the vast emptiness between worlds? The door slides open with the softest whisper of displaced air, and you step into the sanctuary of voices and signals that has kept this distant outpost tethered to home through all the long months and years of exile among the stars. The room feels different at night, transformed from the bustling nerve center it becomes during peak communication windows into something more intimate, more contemplative. Banks of monitors glow softly along the curved walls, their screens displaying the endless scroll of telemetry data, weather reports from Earth, and the patient queue of personal messages waiting to be reviewed, archived, and treasured. The air carries that distinctive electronic scent that all communication centers seem to possess. A clean metallic fragrance mixed with the faint ozone smell of powerful transmitters and the almost sweet aroma of cooling systems working steadily to keep all this delicate equipment at optimal temperature. You settle into the worn chair at the primary console, feeling its familiar contours conform to your body, shaped by countless hours of duty shifts and personal time spent reaching across the void toward home. Your fingers move automatically across the interface, pulling up the personal message archive with the unconscious ease that comes from years of practice. The system responds with soft chimes and the gentle flutter of data streams, organizing themselves across the multiple displays. And suddenly the room fills with the ghostly presence of voices from Earth, messages that have traveled for long minutes at the speed of light to reach this small bubble of human presence in the Martian night. There's something almost magical about this moment, this quiet communion with distant loved ones whose words arrive like bottled letters washed up on some cosmic shore, carrying with them the essence of a world that seems increasingly dreamlike in memory, increasingly precious for its distance and fragility. The first message that catches your attention is from your sister, her voice warm and slightly breathless as she describes the garden she's been tending in the backyard of the house where you both grew up. She talks about the tomatoes that came in beautifully this year, about the way the morning glory vines have completely covered the old wooden fence, creating a living wall of heart-shaped leaves and purple trumpet flowers that opens each morning to greet the sun and closes each evening as the light fades. Her words paint pictures of summer rain on hot pavement, of the sound of children playing in the sprinkler next door, of the familiar rhythm of suburban life that continues its gentle cycles while you orbit overhead in your metal cocoon, watching the same Earth from a perspective she cannot imagine. As you lean back in the chair, letting her voice wash over you like a gentle tide, you can almost smell that earth summer scent she describes, that complex perfume of growing things and warm soil and the promise of evening thunderstorms building on the horizon. The contrast between her world and yours feels particularly sharp tonight, but not in a painful way, more like the bittersweet awareness that comes with any profound transition, any moment when you stand balanced between one life and another, able to appreciate both for what they are and what they represent. Her laughter bubbles through the speakers as she tells you about the cat that's adopted their porch, a scraggly orange Tom who shows up every evening for dinner and has somehow wormed his way into their routine and their hearts. The way stray creatures always seem to find the people who need them most. The next message pulls you forward in time and space to your old university, where your former advisor updates you on the research project that grew from the work you began here on Mars. His voice carries that familiar note of excitement that you remember from late nights in the lab, when breakthrough moments would arrive unexpectedly and transform everything you thought you understood about the problem you were trying to solve. He describes how the soil samples you sent back last year have revolutionized their understanding of mineral formation in low-gravity environments, how your observations have opened entirely new avenues of investigation that will keep graduate students busy for decades to come. There's pride in his voice, but also something deeper, a recognition that the work continues and evolves, that each discovery builds on what came before while pointing toward mysteries yet to be unraveled. The parade of voices continues, each one a thread in the invisible web that connects you to the blue world. Hanging in Mars' night sky, a cousin shares news of her new baby, her voice soft, with that particular exhaustion and joy that comes with new parenthood, describing tiny fingers and the surprising strength of infant grip, the way the baby's eyes seem to track movement with an ancient wisdom that makes you wonder what secrets newborns carry from whatever realm they've recently departed. An old friend from college talks about the book he's finally written, the novel he worked on for years in coffee shops and quiet corners, and how holding the finished copy in his hands felt like completing a circle that began when you were all young together and believed that anything was possible if you just wanted it badly enough and were willing to work for it with patient determination. Each message creates its own small world within the larger universe of the communication center, and you find yourself traveling effortlessly between these different realms of experience and emotion, your consciousness expanding and contracting like a gentle tide that touches many shores without being diminished by the journey. The voices blend and separate, creating a symphony of human connection that seems to transform the very air around you, filling the technical space with warmth and presence, and the ineffable quality that makes any place feel like home when it contains the people who matter to you, even if they exist only as electromagnetic waves decoded into sound and played back in this quiet sanctuary so far from where they were first spoken. Your mother's voice emerges from the gentle cacophony, immediately recognizable even before the system identifies the sender, carrying that particular tone she reserves for important conversations. The voice she used when you were small and needed comfort after a nightmare or encouragement before a difficult test. She talks about the seasons changing at home, how the maple tree in the front yard has begun its slow transformation from green to gold, the way the light falls differently now that summer is ending, longer and more golden in the afternoons, carrying the first hint of the crisp clarity that comes with autumn. She mentions details that only a mother would think to include, the way the dog still looks for you when the mail arrives each day, as if expecting you to walk up the front path at any moment, the way she's kept your room exactly as you left it, not as a shrine, but as a place held in readiness for your return, a physical expression of faith that all journeys, no matter how far they take us, eventually lead us home again. The technical readouts scrolling past on the peripheral monitors seem almost irrelevant now, mere numbers and status indicators that pale beside the richness of these human connections spanning the solar system. signal strength, transmission delays, orbital mechanics, the precise choreography of satellites and relay stations that makes this communication possible. All of it fades into background noise compared to the simple miracle of voices carrying love across the vacuum, proving once again that human ingenuity serves its highest purpose when it brings people together rather than driving them apart. As you continue through the accumulated messages, you become aware of a subtle pattern, a recurring theme that runs through these dispatched fragments of Earth life like a melody woven through a complex musical composition. Each voice, in its own way, speaks of continuity, of the reliable rhythms that persist, whether you're there to witness them or not, of the seasons and celebrations and small daily miracles that make up the substance of a world that keeps turning, keeps nurturing its children, keeps offering up its gifts of beauty and connection and hope, regardless of who is present to receive them. There's comfort in this realization, a deep settling sense that your absence doesn't diminish the richness of the world you've temporarily left behind, that your eventual return will be to a place that has grown and changed and yet remained fundamentally itself, like a river that flows continuously while maintaining its essential character mile after mile, year after year, generation after generation. And perhaps this understanding of continuity, this gentle wisdom about the enduring nature of beloved places, makes it easier to walk now through the garden dome, where tomorrow's departure feels both imminent and strangely distant. Your footsteps echo softly against the curved, transparent walls, where condensation has gathered in delicate beads that catch and scatter the artificial sunlight streaming down from the overhead panels. The air here holds a different quality than anywhere else on the station, thick with humidity and rich with the green scent of growing things, the earthy sweetness of soil that has been carefully tended for years. The tomato plants hang heavy with their final fruit, clusters of red and orange and deep burgundy that seem to glow from within, like small lanterns strung along the vine. You reach out to touch one, feeling the smooth warmth of its skin beneath your palm, the subtle give that tells you it's perfectly ripe and ready. There's something profound about this moment, this last harvest before the journey home, as if you're gathering not just food, but memories, not just sustenance, but symbols of all the ways life persists and flourishes even in the most unlikely places. The cucumber vines trail along their trellises in elegant spirals, their broad leaves creating patches of cool shade where smaller plants nestle below. Beans hang in neat rows, their pods plump and ready for picking, while the lettuce forms perfect rosettes of green and purple, each leaf crisp with moisture and vitality. You move between the rows slowly, methodically, your hands working with practiced efficiency as you gather what will be needed for the journey ahead. But your mind drifts to quieter considerations of growth and time and the strange alchemy that transforms seeds into sustenance. Here, in this carefully controlled environment, seasons exist by design rather than celestial mechanics. The lighting follows precise schedules. The temperature holds steady at optimal ranges. The moisture arrives in measured doses through hidden misting systems that whisper softly overhead. Yet despite this artificial precision, or perhaps because of it. There's something deeply natural about the rhythm of tending and harvesting, something that connects directly to the most ancient human instincts for cultivation and care. The herbs release their fragrances as you brush against them, basil and rosemary and thyme, creating an aromatic symphony that fills the dome with the essence of earthbound summers. You pause beside the oregano, rubbing a leaf between your fingers to release its peppery sweetness, then move on to where the mint spreads in contained abundance, its leaves serrated and bright, its scent sharp and clean and invigorating. These small rituals of harvest feel like meditation, each plant offering its own particular texture and fragrance, its own quiet lesson about patience and growth. The strawberry plants sprawl low to the ground, their runners creating intricate networks that speak of propagation and continuity. The berries themselves are small, but intensely flavored, concentrated drops of sweetness that burst across your tongue with surprising complexity. You gather them carefully, knowing that each one represents weeks of slow development, of gradual transformation from flower to fruit, from potential to fulfillment. The process feels symbolic now, this careful collection of what has been nurtured into being. Above your head, the dome's transparent panels reveal the stark beauty of the Martian landscape beyond. Red dust and distant mountains and the thin atmosphere that makes human life impossible without these carefully constructed sanctuaries. The contrast is striking. This lush abundance surrounded by such austere emptiness. This celebration of growth existing in defiance of a world that seems designed to resist it. Yet there's harmony in the juxtaposition too, a reminder that life finds ways to flourish even in the most challenging circumstances. The water recycling systems hum quietly in the background, processing and purifying the moisture that cycles endlessly through the dome's closed ecosystem. Every drop that falls as artificial rain has fallen before, has nourished previous harvests, has sustained the community through countless meals and seasons. There's something comforting about this continuity, this knowledge that nothing is wasted, that everything serves the larger purpose of sustaining life far from home. The engineering is remarkable, but what moves you more is the vision it represents, the determination to create abundance where none existed before. The carrots emerge from their soil beds with satisfying resistance, their orange forms perfect and symmetrical, their green tops feathery and fresh. You brush away the clinging earth, feeling the firm texture of vegetables that have grown slowly and steadily in this protected environment. The radishes come up easily, their round forms bright and crisp, their leaves wilted slightly in the warm air of the dome, but their roots firm and peppery when you bite into one experimentally. These simple pleasures of fresh food feel precious here, where every growing thing represents careful planning and patient nurturing. The pepper plants stand tall and proud, their fruits hanging in various stages of ripeness, from pale green to vibrant red to deep purple, depending on the variety. You select the ones that feel ready, their skin taut and glossy, their weight substantial in your palm. Each one carries the concentrated essence of summer sunshine, even though the light they've known has been generated by machines and delivered on schedules determined by agricultural algorithms rather than planetary rotation. Near the center of the dome, the fruit trees create a small orchard that defies the reality of your location millions of miles from Earth. The apple tree bears small but perfect fruit, each one a marvel of adaptation and care, bred for this specific environment and tended with extraordinary attention to detail. You polish one on your shirt and bite into it. The juice, sweet and tart and immediately familiar. A taste that transports you momentarily back to orchards you've known on Earth, to autumn afternoons and harvest festivals and the simple pleasure of fruit picked fresh from the tree. The lemon tree's bright yellow fruit seems almost impossibly cheerful, each one heavy with juice and fragrant with oils that perfume the air around them. You pick several, knowing they'll add brightness to meals during the long journey ahead. Their acidity cutting through recycled air and providing the sharp, clean flavors that become precious during extended space travel. The tree itself seems almost too lush for this artificial environment. Its dark green leaves glossy with health, its branches heavy with the weight of its generous production. As you work your way through the dome's careful rows and planned abundance, the afternoon light begins to shift through the transparent panels overhead, casting different patterns of shadow and illumination across the growing beds. The automatic systems respond to these program changes, adjusting temperature and humidity with subtle precision, maintaining the delicate balance that allows this enclosed ecosystem to thrive. You can hear the soft whir of ventilation fans, the gentle drip of irrigation lines, the quiet efficiency of machines designed to nurture life. The work of harvesting becomes its own form of meditation, your hands moving with practiced ease from plant to plant, while your mind settles into the rhythm of selection and gathering. There's satisfaction in filling the collection containers with the fruits of months of careful tending, in knowing that this food will sustain your community during the transition from this temporary home to the permanent one waiting back on Earth. Each tomato and cucumber, each handful of beans and bunch of herbs represents not just nutrition, but continuity, not just sustenance, but the persistent human drive to create abundance wherever we find ourselves. The flowers planted throughout the dome serve no nutritional purpose, but their presence feeds something else entirely, some deeper need for beauty and color, and the simple joy of blossoms opening toward the light. Marigolds border many of the vegetable beds, their golden petals bright and cheerful, their peppery scent helping to deter pests in this closed system. Sweet peas climb trellises near the dome's edge, their delicate flowers releasing fragrance that mingles with the herbs to create an atmosphere that speaks of gardens back on Earth, of spring mornings and summer evenings, and the eternal human love affair with growing things. The work continues at its own gentle pace, unhurried despite tomorrow's departure, as if the garden itself insists on being honored with careful attention during these final hours of tending. The greenhouse gradually grows quiet around you as evening settles into the dome, the whispered conversations between workers fading into the comfortable silence that gardens seem to encourage. One by one, your colleagues finish their tasks and drift away, leaving behind only the subtle sounds of growing things, the gentle drip of moisture condensing on leaves, the almost imperceptible rustle of stems reaching toward the overhead lights, the soft hum of circulation fans moving air through this pocket of Earth life suspended in the Martian atmosphere. You find yourself alone now among the raised beds, your hands still busy with the endless small tasks that gardens demand, but your mind beginning to wander as the artificial day cycle dims toward evening. Through the transparent aluminum panels above, the Martian sky deepens from its daytime butterscotch into the deeper amber that precedes true darkness. The greenhouse lights automatically adjust, their spectrum shifting subtly to match the changing conditions outside, maintaining the illusion of natural progression even here, 40 million miles from home. It's then that you notice the first pale shape rising above the eastern horizon, visible through the greenhouse's curved walls like a distant lighthouse beacon. Phobos, the larger and closer of Mars' two moons, climbs into view with surprising speed, its rocky surface catching the last reflected light from the setting sun. Unlike Earth's moon, with its stately, measured progress across the night sky, Phobos races through its orbit, crossing from horizon to horizon in just over 4 hours. A celestial reminder that you're living under alien skies where even the most fundamental rhythms differ from those that shaped human evolution. You set down your pruning shears and move toward the greenhouse's eastern wall, drawn by the sight of this hurried moon. The glass feels cool against your palm as you lean against it, your breath creating small clouds of condensation that bloom and fade in rhythm with your breathing. From here, you can see across the colony's central plaza to where other domes catch and reflect the moonlight, their surfaces gleaming like a cluster of soap bubbles resting on the rust-colored regolith. The greenhouse around you continues its quiet symphony of life. Somewhere behind you, a tomato plant releases the green, sharp scent that rises from its leaves when touched, while the herbs near the entrance add their more complex notes to the air. Basil and oregano, thyme and sage, their fragrances creating an olfactory map of summer gardens that exist now only in memory and in carefully maintained spaces like this one. The contrast feels profound. Standing here surrounded by the essence of Earth's growing season, while watching an alien moon traverse a butterscotch sky. As Phobos continues its rapid climb, you begin searching the opposite horizon for its smaller companion. Deimos takes much longer to show itself, moving so slowly through its distant orbit that its motion becomes apparent only through patience and careful observation. Tonight, though, the timing aligns in a way that happens only occasionally. Both moons visible simultaneously in the darkening sky. A celestial coincidence that transforms an ordinary evening into something worth witnessing. You settle onto one of the wooden benches positioned throughout the greenhouse, originally placed to provide rest for workers, but serving equally well as observation posts for moments like these. The bench sits among the herb garden, where Mediterranean plants create a microclimate of familiar scent. Your hand trails absently through a patch of lavender growing in a nearby planter, the flower heads releasing their oils at your touch, the fragrance rising to blend with the general greenhouse atmosphere of growth and moisture and carefully maintained life. Deimos finally appears, a tiny point of light barely distinguishable from the background stars, moving with the patience of geological time compared to its racing companion. Where Phobos dominates the eastern sky with its presence, Deimos requires attention to detect a whisper rather than a shout, a reminder that not all celestial bodies announce themselves with drama. The two moons occupy the same sky now, separated by millions of miles but appearing, from your perspective, like a binary system of natural satellites, keeping each other company across the Martian night. The greenhouse's automatic systems continue their work around you, sensors monitoring humidity and temperature, adjusting circulation and irrigation with the kind of precision that allows earth plants to flourish in this impossible place. You can hear the soft click of valves opening and closing, the gentle whisper of misting systems engaging, the barely audible hum of pump moving nutrient solutions through hydroponic lines. These sounds, once foreign and mechanical, have become as familiar as breathing during your years here. The technological heartbeat that sustains this green sanctuary. Above you, the dome's transparent panels reveal the full sweep of the Martian night sky beginning to emerge. Without Earth's thick atmosphere to scatter light, the stars appear with a clarity and intensity that still catches you by surprise. Even after all this time, the familiar constellations hang in their appointed places, unchanged, despite the vast distance, offering the same patterns that guided navigators and inspired poets throughout human history. Yet something about seeing them from this alien vantage point transforms their meaning, makes them simultaneously more remote and more precious. Phobos continues its relentless journey across the sky, its surface, details becoming more visible as it passes nearly overhead. Through the greenhouse glass, you can make out the largest crater on its leading hemisphere, the one the first Mars colonists nicknamed the Eye, its dark interior giving the small moon an almost anthropomorphic quality. The crater's rim catches starlight at certain angles, creating the illusion of an ancient socket watching over the Martian landscape with patient, geological time perspective. The air around you carries the complex layering of scents that only a mature greenhouse possesses, each plant contributing its signature molecules to create an atmosphere impossible to replicate. Artificially, sweet pea flowers add their delicate perfume to the mix, while somewhere among the vegetable beds, ripening tomatoes contribute their distinctive green stem earthiness. A patch of mint growing near the water recycling station releases its sharp freshness whenever the circulation fans stir its leaves, creating pockets of intense fragrance that ebb and flow like invisible tides. You think about the timing required for this double moonrise, the orbital mechanics that align just so to bring both Phobos and Deimos into view together. It happens regularly enough that the colonists have learned to anticipate it, but rarely enough that witnessing it feels special, a celestial event worth pausing to appreciate. Tomorrow, you'll be aboard the transport ship, watching Mars itself shrink to a point of light. But tonight, you're still here to witness these small, rocky companions performing their ancient dance around the planet that has become, temporarily, your home. The greenhouse bench supports your weight with the solid reliability of earth wood, probably oak or maple from trees that grew in forests you'll never see again, cut and shaped and transported across impossible distances to provide this small comfort in an alien place. Your fingers trace the grain of the armrest, feeling the annual rings that recorded seasons of rain and drought, warm summers and cold winters, all the natural cycles that Earth life takes for granted, and that Mars colonists must artificially create and maintain. Deimos, despite its distance and diminutive size, possesses its own quiet majesty as it creeps across the star field. Ancient impact craters pit its surface, each one a record of collisions spanning billions of years, stories written in rock and shadow that speak of the early solar system's violent youth. Unlike Phobos with its dramatic speed and obvious presence, Deimos rewards patient observation, revealing its secrets slowly to those willing to watch and wait. The greenhouse around you seems to breathe with its own rhythm, the slight expansion and contraction of the dome, as temperature differentials create pressure changes, the gentle sway of taller plants responding to air currents, the almost subliminal pulse of irrigation systems cycling through their programmed sequences. These rhythms, artificial yet organic in their own way, have become the heartbeat of colonial life, the technological systems that enable human existence here having developed their own kind of natural flow. These rhythms, artificial yet organic in their own way, have become the heartbeat of colonial life, the technological systems that enable human existence here having developed their own kind of natural flow. I find myself drawn tonight to the observatory, that crystalline dome perched at the colony's highest point, where the boundary between our contained world and the infinite expanse above becomes nothing more than a whisper of reinforced glass. The corridor leading there slopes gently upward, my footsteps creating the softest percussion against the textured metal flooring, each step echoing just once before being absorbed by the sound-dampening panels that line these upper passages. The air here carries a different quality, thinner somehow, as if it too understands that we're ascending toward the edge of everything we know. The observatory door slides open with barely a breath of sound, revealing a space that exists in perpetual twilight. Here, where the great telescope stands sentinel against the Martian night, the usual artificial lighting has been dimmed to preserve night vision, leaving only the gentle amber glow of instrument panels and the ethereal wash of starlight filtering through the dome's transparent sections. The temperature is cooler here, maintained at a precise level that prevents condensation on the delicate optical equipment, and I can feel that coolness settling against my skin like silk. The telescope itself dominates the center of the space, a magnificent instrument of mirrors and lenses that seems to breathe with mechanical precision as it tracks celestial objects across the sky. Its movement is so gradual as to be almost imperceptible, yet if I stand perfectly still and focus, I can sense the whisper of its motors, the gentle shift of its massive frame as it follows some distant star or galaxy on its eternal journey across the heavens. The sound is like a meditation in itself, this quiet mechanical breathing that connects us to the cosmos beyond our small sphere of life. But tonight, I'm not here for the telescope. Instead, I'm drawn to the observatory's windows, those vast panels of specially treated glass that offer an unobstructed view in every direction. During the day, these windows filter the harsh Martian sunlight, protecting both equipment and eyes from radiation and glare. But now, in the deep of night, they become portals, transparent boundaries between our carefully maintained atmosphere and the vast silence that surrounds us. I settle into the observation chair positioned near the eastern window, its cushioned surface yielding just enough to cradle my body without sacrificing the firm support needed for long hours of stargazing. The chair is positioned at the perfect angle for comfortable viewing, and as I lean back, my breath begins to synchronize with the gentle environmental systems that maintain this delicate space. The recycled air carries the faintest trace of ozone from the electronic equipment, mixed with the clean, almost sterile scent of the filtration systems working constantly to keep this atmosphere pure. Through the window, Mars reveals itself in ways that daylight never allows. The landscape, harsh and forbidding under the sun's glare, becomes something altogether more mysterious in the darkness. Rock formations that appear as simple geological features during the day now cast complex shadows that shift and flow with the movement of Phobos across the star-filled sky. That small, irregular moon moves with surprising speed, its rapid orbit creating an ever-changing pattern of light and shadow across the terrain below. The rocks themselves seem to hold memory in their silence. Some are smooth and rounded, polished by eons of wind-blown dust, while others jut from the surface like ancient monuments to forces beyond human comprehension. In the starlight, their surfaces take on a subtle luminescence, as if they're absorbing and reflecting the cosmic radiation that bathes this world in invisible energy. I can almost feel the weight of geological time pressing against the window, billions of years of planetary evolution, creating the landscape that now serves as humanity's second home. But it's when I turn my gaze upward that the true magic of this place reveals itself. The Martian sky, freed from the thick atmosphere that veils Earth's heavens, offers a view of the universe that takes my breath away. Night after night, stars that would be invisible from Earth shine with crystal clarity here, their light traveling across unimaginable distances to paint patterns of silver fire against the deep velvet of space. The constellations, familiar yet somehow transformed by our new perspective, tell stories that span the void between worlds. Orion stands magnificent in the eastern sky, his belt of stars marking time across the cosmos with the same reliable precision they've shown for millennia. Yet from Mars, even these ancient patterns appear subtly different, shifted by our changed position in the solar system, reminding me that perspective shapes everything we think we understand about the universe. The window itself becomes a meditation on boundaries and connections. Its surface, perfectly clear yet undeniably present, serves as both barrier and bridge. I can reach out and touch the cool glass, feeling the slight vibration that runs through it as the dome's structural supports flex minutely with temperature changes. My fingertips register the smoothness of the treated surface, specially coated to reduce reflection and maximize transparency. Yet this thin barrier is all that stands between me and the airless expanse beyond, between the warmth of human civilization and the deadly cold of the Martian night. Sometimes, as I sit here in the gentle darkness, I find myself studying my own reflection, superimposed on the star field beyond. The dim interior lighting creates a ghostly image of myself, translucent and wavering, overlaid on the cosmic vista like a double exposure. In these moments, I become aware of existing simultaneously in two realities: the intimate, protected world of the colony and the infinite, indifferent universe that surrounds us. The reflection wavers slightly as my breath fogs the window nearest to my face, creating the momentary patterns of condensation that evaporate almost as quickly as they form. Each breath becomes visible for just an instant, a reminder of the life processes that continue regardless of our location in the solar system. There's something deeply comforting about this simple evidence of biological function. The way my warm exhalation meets the cool glass and creates these ephemeral clouds that disappear like whispered prayers into the recycled atmosphere. As the night progresses, the view through the window shifts with Mars' rotation. New star patterns emerge from behind the horizon, while others slip away into the dawn that still lies hours in the future. The planet's rotation, faster than Earth's, creates a subtle sense of acceleration in the sky's movement, as if time itself moves differently here. This gentle celestial dance becomes hypnotic after a while, the steady progression of stars across the dome's framework, creating natural intervals for reflection and rest. The observatory's environmental systems maintain their quiet vigil around me, the soft whisper of air circulation mixing with the barely audible hum of electronic equipment. These sounds, so constant as to become almost subliminal, form the technological lullaby that has become the soundtrack of human life on Mars. They speak of safety and continuity, of systems designed and maintained by human ingenuity to create pockets of habitability in a world that was never meant for us. In the distance, beyond the dome's edge, I can see the soft glow of other colony structures, their windows like scattered jewels against the Martian night. Each point of light represents human presence, human activity, human dreams playing out under this alien sky. Some windows show the steady illumination of workspaces where night shift personnel maintain the complex systems that keep us all alive. Others flicker with the warmer light of living quarters, where colonists read, socialize, or simply rest in the comfort of artificial atmosphere and controlled temperature. These distant lights create a sense of community, even in the solitude of the observatory. We are not alone here, despite the vast emptiness that surrounds our small outpost of humanity. Each illuminated window represents a story, a life, a collection of hopes and memories and dreams that have traveled the enormous distance from Earth to find expression in this unlikely place. The knowledge that others share this experience, that human consciousness persists and thrives even here at the edge of everything familiar, brings a deep sense of connection and continuity. The window continues to serve as my portal between worlds, its transparent surface offering passage for light and vision while maintaining the atmospheric barrier essential for life. Through it, I can observe without participating, witness without interfering, exist in safety while contemplating the dangerous beauty of the cosmos that surrounds us. It is, in its own way, the perfect metaphor for human consciousness itself, a transparent boundary through which we observe and interpret a universe we can never fully join or completely understand. And as I allow that thought to settle into the quiet corners of my mind, my feet carry me away from the window's philosophical embrace, down the softly lit corridor toward the communication room, where one final ritual awaits in these last hours of our Martian chapter. The communication room exists at the heart of our habitat, insulated from the harsh extremes of the planet's surface by layers of protective shielding and the gentle hum of life support systems. As I approach its entrance, the subtle change in air pressure tells me I'm crossing into a space designed for connection across impossible distances, a room where the whispered conversations of Earth have been received and transmitted for so many months. The door slides open with the softest pneumatic sigh, revealing a chamber that has always felt more intimate than technical, despite the banks of equipment that line its walls. The screens cast their gentle glow in shades of amber and blue, creating pools of warm light that seem to float in the carefully controlled darkness. There's something almost sacred about this space, this technological sanctuary where human voices have bridged the gap between worlds. I settle into the familiar contours of the communication chair, feeling the worn fabric beneath my hands, softened by countless hours of use by each member of our crew. The headset rests where it was left, still warm from the last conversation, and as I lift it to position it over my ears, I'm struck by the weight of all the words it has carried, all the love and longing and mundane daily details that have traveled through its delicate speakers across millions of miles of space. The console before me glows with the soft readiness of equipment that has never failed us, never let us down in our need to touch base with the world we left behind. Each button and switch has been polished smooth by familiar fingers, and I trace their surfaces now with a kind of reverence, understanding that this may be among the last times these particular instruments will serve their purpose, at least for our mission. Through the communication room's own small porthole, Mars presents a different perspective than the grand vistas visible from other parts of the habitat. Here, the view is more constrained, more focused, showing only a small section of the rust-colored terrain and the equipment arrays that have faithfully maintained our connection to Earth. The communication dishes stand like metallic flowers turned toward home, their surfaces catching and reflecting the subtle variations in Martian light. I activate the system with the practiced movements of routine, listening to the gentle cascade of initialization sounds as each component comes online. The familiar sequence of beeps and tones creates a technological lullaby that speaks of reliability and precision, of human ingenuity reaching across the solar system to maintain the most basic of needs, the need to not be alone, the need to share our experiences with those who matter most. The transmission delay to Earth currently stands at 14 minutes and 37 seconds, a gap that has defined the rhythm of every conversation we've had from this red world. It's a delay that teaches patience, that transforms dialogue into something more like the exchange of letters, each message sent into the void with the faith that it will find its intended recipient, each response received as a gift arriving from another time, another world. As I prepare to compose what may be my final transmission from Mars, I become acutely aware of the room's atmosphere, the way the recycled air carries just a hint of the metallic tang that speaks of our technological dependence, mixed with the subtle warmth of electronics operating within their optimal parameters. The temperature here is kept slightly cooler than the rest of the habitat, ideal for the sensitive equipment, and I find the gentle chill refreshing, invigorating in a way that sharpens my thoughts. The microphone waits before me like a patient confidant, ready to capture whatever words I choose to send across the cosmic divide. Its mesh surface has been the witness to so many conversations, so many moments of joy and frustration and homesickness transformed into radio waves and sent streaming toward that blue point of light that represents everything we've temporarily left behind. I think of the receivers on Earth, the dedicated teams who have monitored our transmissions through all the varying conditions of interplanetary space, through dust storms and solar interference and the countless small technical challenges that arise when humans attempt to maintain connection across such vast distances. They've been our lifeline, our anchor to the world that gave us birth. And now, as we prepare to return, I feel the weight of gratitude for their unwavering vigilance. The room around me seems to hold its breath as I gather my thoughts, the soft whir of cooling fans and the gentle pulse of status lights creating a meditative backdrop for reflection. This space has been sanctuary and confessional, command center and quiet retreat, adapting to our needs as they've evolved throughout our stay on Mars. I begin to speak, my words emerging into the microphone with the careful cadence that has become second nature when communicating across such delays. Each sentence must be complete, each thought fully formed, because the conversation flows like a river rather than the rapid give and take of earthbound dialogue. Mission Control, this is Mars Base Alpha, beginning what will likely be our final routine transmission from the surface of Mars. The words hang in the air of the communication room, absorbed by the sound-dampening materials that line the walls, before being translated into digital signals and prepared for their long journey home. There's something profound about speaking into this technological void, knowing that my words will travel through the vacuum of space, past asteroids and cosmic dust, through the invisible boundaries between planetary spheres of influence, to eventually emerge from speakers in a room on Earth where people I may never meet will listen and record and respond. I continue speaking, describing the preparations for our departure, the careful cataloging of samples and data, the mixed emotions of leaving behind a world that has become, in its own harsh way, familiar. The communication room seems to lean in, its equipment humming with the effort of capturing and encoding every nuance, every inflection that might carry meaning to those waiting on the other end of this cosmic conversation. The dome around me begins to feel less like a barrier and more like an extension of my own being. Transparent, permeable to light and wonder, yet strong enough to maintain the delicate conditions that allow this communion with the Martian night. I imagine I can feel the curve of the planet beneath me, sense its slow rotation, carrying me through space at speeds that would terrify if they weren't so perfectly smooth and constant. Sleep approached like a tide made of starlight, gentle and inevitable. My breathing slows, matches the patient rhythm of this world turning, aligns itself with the ancient dance of moons and of planets. The sounds of my own body, heartbeat, breath, the subtle rustle of fabric against skin, become part of the larger symphony of night on Mars. The stars above begin to soften, their sharp edges dissolving into gentle glows. The dome itself seems to fade, becoming less boundary, more invitation. I am floating now, suspended between the sleeping surface and the infinite sky, cradled by gravity and dreams. My last conscious thought drifts like a feather falling upward into space, a recognition that tomorrow will bring departure. But tonight I'm exactly where I belong, under these alien constellations, breathing this thin air, resting on this ancient world. I am home in the most temporary and perfect way. The Martian night wraps around me like a blanket, woven from time itself, soft, warm, infinite. My eyes close, and the stars continue their dance, patient, eternal, beautiful. Sleep comes, gentle as starfall, quiet as space, deep as the long dreams of planets, and I rest, finally, completely under skies that sing lullabies, in languages older than worlds. And so the story gently fades, like stars at dawn. Sleep well, dear listener. I'll be here whenever you need me.